Hello everyone, this is Courtney Gruenholz back in my book Nook. Before I talk about the books of today's selection, I did procure some more V.C. Andrews books. Not old ones, new ones. Again, since they're putting out the Castile Family Saga movies, I had Heaven, the first one last time. I required the next two books in the series, Dark Angel, the second book, and the movie comes on this Saturday. And then the next book, book 3, Fallen Hearts. And I already had an older edition of the fifth book in the series, Web of Dreams. All I need now is the fourth book, Gates of Paradise, and I will have the entire Castile saga. So, and then still one more book in the Cutler family series and 3 more in the Landry. So I got these at Books A Million this past weekend, and not book related, but you'll notice some new decorations in my Nook if you didn't notice them last time. I moved my General Leia and Chucky Funkos back into my room and moved these little items back here in my book Nook. This is Gobo Fraggle. I got this for Christmas last year from my brother-in-law Matthew. So I have my little Gobo Fraggle sitting here, and because his tail kind of gets in the way, so he needs a really good place to sit. And this past weekend, I acquired this cute little Steve Harrington from Stranger Things 3 this weekend. So he is just so cute. And this is a Funko exclusive at Hot Topic. So I got my little plushie Steve. So he's just so adorable. And if you couldn't tell, he's got his Scoops Ahoy outfit on with his shorts and then his legs and then his cute little shoes. So yeah, because when I was visiting my family, I watched Stranger Things 3, and it was the first time I ever watched anything Stranger Things, and I liked it. So when I got back home, I binged the first 2 seasons on Netflix on my computer. So now I like Stranger Things. So I had to get this cute little Steve. He's my favorite. I love Steve. So I put him up here. So like keep these back here so in case they fall, Pippa doesn't get a hold of them and chew them up. So that's some new things that I procured for my Nook and my shelves and stuff. So as I was talking about, YA teen fiction books. So, of course, I am not a young adult and I am not a teenager anymore. I'm 36 years old, but that still doesn't mean that I don't like to read the books that they put in the YA or teen section, whichever you go to. When I go to Books A Million, it's called Young Adult, and when I go to Barnes & Noble, it's like teen fiction. So, either way, I guess a good example of how young adult fiction can also be read by adults would be the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. One Year for Christmas. The first 3 books in the series were part of a Christmas gift exchange thing that my family did. So I can't remember if it was me or my mother who got these Harry Potter books as the part of the gift exchange. So my mom got the books. I think my mom might have read them, because I don't think that I read them, because I didn't get involved into Harry Potter until me and my mother went to go see Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the 3rd movie and the third book in the series. When we left the theater, my mom didn't really care for it because she thought it was much darker than the first two movies, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone for those in Britain, and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. But when I went back and watched them, because we saw the third movie and I had seen the first two, the second one was a little dark with Chamber of Secrets. So, and of course the books, the characters get older and so things get darker. So my mom kind of started tuning out the Harry Potter movies because she liked the family kind of aspect of them. And I started getting into them because they did get darker. So, but yeah, these first three books were together in a gift set. So, let's see, 7, 14. Yeah, I think our limit was like $25. So this is about right for these. So of course these are the first three books, and it took me a while to get my entire Harry Potter collection done. I found this copy. Oh, I have them mixed up. So I found this copy, the fourth one, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, at Walmart. Of course, list price was $12.99. I got it for $10.38. So, yeah. So the fourth book. So, when it comes to the movies, I did not read the books beforehand on Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire and Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I did read Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows before I saw the movies. So I knew that there were going to be things that were going to be like cut out, and I knew what to expect. But when it came to Goblet of Fire and Order of the Phoenix, I had no idea what was going to happen in those. So I went to go see Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire with my friend Chris, and it should be spoiled for anybody. Almost everybody's read Harry Potter unless it's younger people or people just now getting into it. So I'll just say when a certain character died in the Goblet of Fire, I had no idea it was coming, and I almost screamed in the theater because I didn't know it was going to happen. So, that's what you get when you don't read the books, but you see the movies. But you also know that they take a lot of stuff out. So if you want to get the whole experience, you read the book. But going to see the movie is nice too. So, and then of course I found this copy of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix at Half Price Books. So original price was $12.99. So I think I actually got this for like $5 now that I think about it, and it's actually in pretty good shape for a used copy. A little bit of wear on the spine, and a little bit here on the back, but everything else, a little bit of wear down here on the pages, and other than that, it's in pretty good shape. So, like I said, I don't mind getting used copies of books as long as they're in pretty good condition. If you do get used books and you order them on Amazon, they have the degrees of, like new, very good, and acceptable. Sometimes you'll get books that are, you'll go with the ones that say acceptable, and you get them and they still don't look that bad. And you'll get ones that say they're in very good or good condition and they look even worse. So to find a used copy of this in pretty good condition, it's nice. And of course, like I said, I have not read those two books. I read the first three after I watched the third movie, and of course I read both the next 2 books, year 6 and 7, before the movies came out. So, and as you can see, I took the covers off of them because I didn't want them to get messed up. And some books actually look really good without the dust jacket on. It gives them this kind of, I don't know, like antique look, and they don't look like everything else, but it's got this kind of like little diamond pattern on the front, and I just think it looks neat. And then that way you keep the, the book jacket from getting, messed up and torn or ripped. So, and then like eventually, if you decide you want to get rid of the books, you can put the dust jacket back on and, sell them. And that way, when somebody gets it, they'll get, all this could be worn a little bit, but you put the dust jacket on it and it's almost like it's brand new. With Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. And see, I like this. I mean, it's unique. I mean, it still has the title on the spine and who wrote it, and it just looks different. And again, that same little like diamond pattern, if you can see it. So it's just kind of neat. So of course, I have read these books, and they're pretty heavy, and so yes, I like Harry Potter. I got into it after the 3rd movie, so I don't have the latest book about Harry Potter with Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I don't have it. I'm not sure if I want to read it. I've seen like mixed reviews on it, where some people like it and some people don't. So I'm not really sure, but I have all the Harry Potter books, year 1 through 7, and I have all of the movies. So yeah. So, and of course, adults get into it, and there are, tons of fans who love Harry Potter. My friend Chris is a really big Harry Potter fan. He's got like posters and wands and all sorts of stuff. It's really neat. I mean, people collect things, and then some people buy things and they like go out and dress in costume and stuff, and some people buy collectible things and keep them in nice cases and keep them looking really neat. So there's nothing wrong with being not in a certain age group to read books. I mean, and then going back and reading books, it's like you're reliving like your childhood. And I think it's a good way to connect with kids. If I don't have kids right now, but it's nice to be able to like share books that you can pass on to your children, and they can start to learn about things you like, and they can either like it or they won't, but it's a good experience. So because this is a little bit smaller, again, as I've mentioned, I love fairy tales, and most of us know about fairy tales from watching Disney movies growing up, because a lot of the classic Disney movies are based on they're based on fairy tales, and they're based on children's books and stories, and as we grow up, when we're no longer kids, we can still enjoy them and then share them with little brothers or sisters, or our children, our nieces, our nephews, and so they have books coming out through the Disney Press, and they are a Twisted Tale series where they take Disney movies and ask kind of like what if questions. So like there's one about Beauty and the Beast, and it's like, what if Belle's mother was the one who cast the spell on the Beast? Then there's another one about the Little Mermaid, and then there's another one about Aladdin, and then move on. And then the two that I have are from, of course, my favorite Disney animated classic movie, and my second favorite. Um, I don't think they would probably put one out of like my third favorite, which would be Cinderella, because we kind of already had a what if thing with Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time, which is like a what if the evil stepmother found the fairy godmother's wand. So we kind of already had that. So I don't ever see one coming out like that. But of course, Sleeping Beauty is my favorite, and Snow White is my second. So because they both kind of have the same kind of themes, a princess cursed by a wicked witch, kiss true love, So that's my favorite kind of fairy tales. So the first one I got was because it's based on Sleeping Beauty, and it's called Once Upon a Dream, and it's written by Liz Braswell, and it is what if the Sleeping Beauty never woke up. So basically what it is, it's like getting towards the end of the tale proper when Prince Philip goes to kiss Aurora and wake her up from, the curse. Instead of waking her up, he falls asleep. And so it's kind of interesting because it kind of goes inside Aurora's head while she's sleeping. And so it's kind of like Maleficent put like this failsafe in her curse, which in the movie she didn't, but what if she did put a failsafe in a curse? So it's pretty interesting, and of course I like Sleeping Beauty, so of course I had to have it. And then the newest one that I found, because it's in hardback, it's by Jen Calamita, and it is called Mirror Mirror, and its what if scenario is, what if the evil queen poisoned the prince? So instead of Snow White eating the poison apple, what happens when her prince is the one that eats it instead? This kind of almost goes through and almost like completely retells the Snow White story differently. The queen has a different name. In Disney canon, it's Brynhild, and the prince's name, some are suggesting that it's Ferdinand, and some are suggesting that it's Florian. There's different things about it, and but it goes a little differently. Of course, Snow White's still Snow White, but they call her Snow, which I guess is kind of more like getting it off the Once Upon a Time thing, where they always called Snow White Snow. They never really called her Snow White, but that's her name. And it kind of also gives a little bit of background about the evil queen and Snow White's mother. And in this book, they make Snow White's mother and evil stepmother sisters. So after Snow White's mother dies, her sister marries the king. So it takes a different bit of liberties. The dwarves are still in the story, and also gives a kind of almost a little bit of backstory on like the magic mirror. So it's basically almost retelling the Snow White tale, because it has to get to the point where the prince is involved in the story, and the prince eats the poison apple instead of Snow White. So it's pretty much just retelling the story. So it's not like the one about Sleeping Beauty, where we reach what we think is the end of the story that we know about, and then it continues after that. This one's more like a retelling altogether. So, but yeah, this is a book that I got, and when I read it the next day, I finished it in about 3 hours, because I had nothing else to do, so I read it. So that's another reason why I don't go through most of these books that I talk about. So if you're watching, then you'd be like, why does she sound like she doesn't know what goes on in these books? Because some of them, I don't really know the full story. I only know what it says on like the dust jacket or the back of the book. Because, like I said, I finished this in like 3 hours. So I can go through them pretty fast. But so yeah, this one's interesting. Even though I like Sleeping Beauty and I like the idea that they did with it, I like this a little bit more because it takes more liberties just kind of retelling the story. But still, it's interesting. So out of the two, this one is my favorite, even though Sleeping Beauty is my favorite fairy tale. Speaking of fairy tales, I have these books. They're by the same author, but they're like different series. Okay. Marissa Meyer. Her books that I got into are the Lunar Chronicles. And I first discovered her actually on fanfiction.net. I think that's what it is. Fanfiction.net. But anyway, she wrote a fanfiction story on there called The House on Thornrose Lane. And it was a Sailor Moon fanfiction combined with fairy tale aspects. And because I used to get on there and I'd like to, read fanfiction that people would write to kind of give me ideas of things that I could write. Because, of course, I'm big on Sailor Moon, so I like Sailor Moon fanfiction. And when I found that story, she mentioned in comments about it that she was coming out with an actual book that she wrote. And it was the first book in the Lunar Chronicles that she was talking about at that time. So please fall over, I'm sorry. But she was talking about Cinder from the Lunar Chronicles. And I remember seeing this book out before I found the fan fiction. And it was actually me and Amy going out to Walmart one day, and we saw this over in the book section. And, of course, when I saw the title, it's like, this has got to be a Cinderella story. So I read the back of it, and even Amy said it sounded really good. So I eventually got it. And, of course, I haven't read it, but I still have it. But, and of course, Marissa Meyer's built this entire world from this book. And there are a lot of Sailor Moon kind of elements to this. So it was kind of cool that when I found that fanfiction story that she wrote, it was Sailor Moon fanfic with fairy tale aspects. This is like a new fairy tale rendering with kind of Sailor Moon aspects. Because there are the Lunar people. Lunar, meaning moon. So, and a girl finding out that she is a princess. So, so this first book is about Cinder. She is a mechanic, and she's actually a cyborg. So she has parts of her body that, are made of machinery. So she's like half human, half robot. She looks human, but she's a cyborg. So she, has a stepmother and stepsisters, and then she meets a handsome prince. And she kind of gets caught in the middle of this whole big plan. And so, but if this is anything like her fan fiction that she wrote, which I just think what would be a cool idea is if they did get all the really good stories of fan fiction of Sailor Moon and put them together and make like a kind of short story kind of collection, because this story that she wrote, it also has a sequel to it, and it would just be awesome. So I think Alicia Blade is the name that she writes underneath on fanfiction.net. So if you ever get a chance to try and find it, I check it out because it's really awesome. So if that short fanfiction story is any indication, then I'm going to love these books. And of course, I went ahead and bought all of them. So Cinder is the first one. And the second book, so I have like a combination of hardback and paperback copies. So the next one is Scarlet. So she gets together with a woman named Scarlet Benoit, and the tale goes on. So then, of course, we throw, kind of like Little Red Riding Hood aspect into our Cinderella story and combine it. And so they're basically trying to rescue Prince Kai from the first book from being married to Queen Levana, the queen of the, Lunar people. And so, again, haven't read it yet. So, like I said, I could breeze through these very quickly if I have nothing to do, which pretty much happens mostly on the weekend. During the week, I got laundry and dishes and dinners to fix and stuff like that. So when I have free time, I could definitely plow through these pretty quickly. So the next book in the series is Cress, and Cress is a Rapunzel-like character who gets involved in the saga again. So her home, instead of being in a tower, is on a satellite. So, and she is also a hacker. So instead of just being cooped up in that tower, oh, woe is me, she's learned how to hack computer systems, which is pretty cool. So kind of reminds me of like Charlie from Supernatural. So she's an excellent hacker. So but she's received orders to track down Cinder instead, and so so they're all still trying to save the prince from being married to the evil queen, Levana. So, and in between that, Meyer released a book called Ferris, which is Levana's story. So it tells how she became the way that she is. So that was the next book in that series. And then Winter, which is the actual last book in the Lunar Chronicles. So, of course, that is Snow White, where she is called Winter. And, of course, Levana is her stepmother. And she is in love with one of the palace guards named Jason. Jacin. Interesting way to spell that. So Winter joins up with Cinder and all of our other characters to, of course, still try to stop Nirvana from marrying Kai, and the last book in the series. So interesting about these books. They're like science fiction, fantasy, romance, like books about like a dystopian future. So it's a kind of interesting version to go through. And then of course, this is a Lunar Chronicles collection, which I got at Target for 20% off, and it is a bunch of short stories telling anything that we did not learn in the books. Kind of the way in my series that I'm writing, my Heart Song Saga books, I'm going to be coming out with a collection of books that tell what happens in between the gaps. So this is just a bunch of short stories in between there. And the last book that I have by Marissa Meyer that I still have yet to read, it is Heartless by Marissa Meyer. And it is her retelling of how we get our evil queen in Wonderland. Our queen of hearts, so to speak. So that should be interesting. I also got this book because I just love this cover art here. Heartless. When I saw it, I was like, this is going to be pretty good, because Alice in Wonderland, you can get some pretty good tales out of that too. So, and I don't know if you've ever seen it on Sci-Fi. They have a miniseries called Alice, and it takes a pretty interesting look at Alice in Wonderland. So, but these are some of the books that I have in my young adult teen collection. I still have plenty more, but I wanted to talk about these series: the Twisted Tale series book from the Disney Press, the Harry Potter series, and the Lunar Chronicles, and Marissa Meyer's Heartless book. She also has another series of books out. The first one is called Renegades, so I haven't picked that one up yet, but I'm going to get to it eventually. I swear, I promise. So, next time I come back, more young adult teen fiction, because that's pretty much a big part of my collection. So, I think next time, though, we're going to talk about some books you might not have heard of instead of ones that you have. So, I'm Courtney Gruenholz, and from my book Nook, until I see you next time, have a good day.